have control. Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? It's Uncle Freedom coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off, and we're going to take another trip down that Minutemen layout road, and we're going to talk about armor. Specifically, armor itself. Not plate carriers in this one, just armor to try to help you make a better informed decision in a world that seems to be full of landmines when we start talking about this. So if that sounds fun and interesting to you, maybe you're on the fence, you're trying to decide what to buy, what kind of armor you should be looking at, or what would fit best in your scenario, go ahead, like, subscribe, tell a friend. The channel is growing. It's amazing. I really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with me, it's at Uncle Freedom 213 on Facebook or Instagram, or Uncle Freedom 213 at Outlook.com. If you're looking to support the channel, go ahead and take a look down in the description box below, and you'll find a link that'll take you to my link tree where all of the affiliates of the channel exist. People like Dark Angel Medical, Dry Fire Mag, Born Tactical, you name it, it's down there, and those links directly benefit the channel, and for that, I thank you. If you were going to do it anyway, use the link. It helps me. So, we have covered a lot of stuff here, and we're not done with the Minuteman Marksman's rifle itself. I'm actually waiting on a couple of pieces to come in from one of my affiliates of the channel so that we can show it, if you will. But armor. Armor is something, I see this all the time on Facebook. People are like, what plates? What's the best plate? What's the best, cheapest plate you can get? And there's a lot of people that play the armor game where they don't know any better and they do it and then they're ashamed of it, which is mainly involved in one thing I'm going to cover. But armor. So first and foremost, when you look at armor, you need to be selecting your armor based on the perceived threat matrix you expect to face. If your most damaging thing you're going to experience is a guy with a high point, your threat level is entirely different from a dude that's got to face off against Bubba with his 30-06 and a whole buttload of Milsurp blacktip. It's a totally different game. I would argue to say in this point, when we look at armor, the threat matrix for armor is pretty much universal across the country. And the reason I say that is because the most common rifle you will find in usage in America is the AR-15. What does the AR-15 shoot? Typically, 5.56, 223. 5.56 is kind of an enigma because it is a little bitty spicy 22, but it's hauling butt. And the problem when you start dealing with armor, speed kills armor. So shooting some green tip or shooting, M193 out of a 20-inch AR that's running at Mach Jesus, it takes a lot different threat matrix to stop that. That's probably not in the realm of what you're thinking. So, the other thing is, do you expect there to be frag in your scenario? Because here's the deal. If you're expecting frag and that's your expected threat matrix as frag, a simple plate carrier with an elastic cummerbund is probably not going to work. And the reason being is because to stop frag, you really need soft armor. That's one of the reasons when we look at things like the IOTV or the old school interceptor body armor and stuff that I wore, those were a level 3A soft armor that had trauma plates on the front of them. That's law enforcement, is all soft armor. Soft armor is effective because it covers up your rib cage. Basically, your arms come through holes and you have overlapping coverage for your entire torso, which is really effective against frag. Plates will stop frag, but only in the spot. Again, with body armor, here's the thing. Body armor is great, but it also means you have to fight somebody competent enough to shoot you in the armor and not in the face. Body armor, plates specifically, do not cover things like your lower abdomen and torso because science has shown if you get shot in the stomach, you might still die, but you will probably have time to finish the fight. It's not going to be instantly fatal the way it would be if you took a round through the pump. That's going to shut things down. That's why armor is important. Same deal with helmets, though helmets are a totally different video, and we're going to do that separately. There are a lot of snake oil in the helmet world. So think back to the Vietnam era flak jacket. The Vietnam era flak jacket was a Kevlar vest, essentially. And what it was really good at was frag. It stopped exploding fragmentation from wrecking your internal organs. That is where soft armor really, really lives. That's a good place for soft armor. And if frag is something you're overly concerned about, even if you have a plate carrier, you can buy cummerbund options that have a soft armor cummerbund. So that would be something I would look at. Side plates are kind of a necessity in this world. Realistically, if you're going to run a carrier, running side plates is a good idea, because this is a big giant hole that if things go through, it can seriously jack up parts of your body you don't need jacked up. And it's a coverage point, right? We would all agree that right here leads to your lungs. So frag, soft armor is kind of the king of that, old school flak jackets. That said, we've come a long way and we've made some really big improvements in the carriers that we run, as well as things like soft armor cummerbunds and stuff like that. So when we talk about armor, soft versus hard, here is a pro to soft armor. Soft armor is typically lighter weight and it is very comfortable to wear. Everybody has been inundated with the Safe Life Defense Hyperline body armor. I have seen that ad no less than a dozen times today as I've been watching some YouTube. I've never shot that stuff. I've shot some Safe Life armor. It does what it's supposed to do. But a good metric for armor is if it's not listed on NIJ's website and it doesn't carry a current NIJ rating, it hasn't been tested by the NIJ, which means you're kind of at the whim of what somebody else testing that they did. So when we talk about it, you're going to basically, there's a line that exists within the body armor world, and that is between level 2A, 2, 3A, and 3, there's a line. And that line after 3A and 3 is where soft armor stops and hard armor begins. You can find some hard armor plate style stuff in the 2A, 3A world. That's not really as common. That's mainly a law enforcement thing. It doesn't serve you much purpose. You'd be better off having a full soft vest. But that's where your line is, hard versus soft. Like I said, soft is very comfortable. It's lighter weight. It tends to not impede movement. That is one of the reasons you will see cops that can run and do all the stuff we have to do constantly. And we're in our armor for 12 plus hours a day. I will tell you, as somebody that's been in armor, like plates, for 12 hours a day, and I've been in soft armor for 12 hours a day, soft armor is far more comfortable. It doesn't suck nearly as bad as wearing plates. That said, if I get shot in the chest with a rifle wearing soft armor, it doesn't do anything. It just contains my stuff. It doesn't blow out. So when we start talking about the ratings, there is about 1 million freaking ratings that you've seen. You see, not really, there's not that many. But you have 2A, 2, 3A, 3, 3 plus, which isn't a real thing, and level 4. So I say it's not a real thing. It is a real thing. So when we talk about it, level 2A is kind of the old school body armor. That will stop 9mm full metal jacket at 1165 feet per second. Now, I don't know about you, but I pretty much consistently shoot 9mm NATO spec stuff that's 124 grain projectile doing 1200 feet per second. And that means 2A will not stop that. 2A is kind of a joke. You don't see it very much. People don't use it. There are still some law enforcement agencies that issue it, though it's not really common. It'll also stop 40 cal at 1065 feet per second. But that leaves a lot of stuff on the table, like think 357 Magnum, 357 SIG, faster 9mm projectiles. So enter level 2. Level 2 is a step up from 2A. So level 2 is going to add 357 Magnum and double aught buck. Now, in level 3A, we also add a News 12 gauge round. Level 3A gives us 9mm at 1400 feet per second and 44 Magnum. Now, somebody's going to be like, my 44 Magnum does 1,500 feet per second. Yes, but it's a bigger, fatter projectile that's usually not as sleek designed, which means it doesn't have the penetration ability to cut through armor the way 9mm full metal jacket would at like 1650. So it'll stop 44 mag. It'll also stop 12 gauge slugs. Now, 12 gauge slugs, 1,600 feet per second. How is that possible? Because 12 gauge slugs are really freaking wide. It's a 68 caliber projectile. They're big. Even though they are moving faster than most of your 9mm stuff, it's still going to get stopped because the frontal surface area of it's easier to slow them down. That said, you're not going to be happy about it. So there's this misconception when we talk about armor that you're going to wear armor and if you get shot, everything will be okay. You're right. You don't die. However, nobody said, and I mean nobody, and the vast majority of people that do get shot in soft armor, a lot of times there are some residual stuff. Part of the NIJ certification for armor is ensuring that the back face deformation, which is the amount that plate shifts backwards and expands back to your body, doesn't exceed a certain amount. Because while your body is fluid and it does like buffer some of that, if you take something that's got that much back face deformation, it's going to kill you even if the bullet doesn't go through. Blunt trauma. So if you get hit with a 12 gauge round in level 3A armor, it is going to hurt. It's going to break ribs, probably crack your sternal cartilage depending on where you get shot, but you won't die. You just won't be happy about it. But then again, you can't be unhappy about something if you're no longer breathing. So good news. So 3A was kind of, that is the standard now. Like as law enforcement, I wear a level 3A vest every day. Vast majority of law enforcement is running level 3A because it is kind of the standard for us. It fits the threat matrix that we're expected to face. That said, law enforcement will usually have plates available, and that is because the threat level has changed. The good old days of yore as law enforcement, where the worst thing you had to face was Saturday night specials and guys that had Glocks. Well, it's not the same anymore. And the thing is, even though 3A will stop like 9mm, if you get a guy that's running some super hyper fast 9mm stuff like a Fort Scott solid copper projectile that's very sleek, and that thing's coming out of a Glock doing about 15 or 1600 feet per second, your 3A might not stop that. It's not a guarantee. Like there's no such thing as bulletproof. It's bullet resistant to whatever it is that it said it's to resist at. Now, while somebody's going to argue the fact that, well, it said it stopped 9mm. Right. Normal 9mm. But if I'm running a solid copper projectile that's kind of pointy and I'm pushing it at Mach Jesus out of a Glock 34, your armor is not going to stop that. We're playing in a different realm. So something to keep in mind. Again, your threat matrix determines the kind of armor that you need. Enter hard plates. When we look at hard plates, there are three designations. There is new designations coming out, so this will kind of be dated coming up, but I'll make an update if something really changes. And that is 3, 3+, and 4. So level 3 is rated to stop 6 shots of 7.62 by 51 NATO at 2,780 feet per second. M80 ball, 150 grain full metal jacket. It will stop it. That said, people will look at that and say, well, it'll stop that. It's got to stop 5.56. You would be wrong. There is no guarantee that your level 3 plate will stop 5.56 because 5.6 again is fast. If I shoot you with a 5.56 193 or 8.55 in the center of your level 3 plate and I shoot you with something doing 3,100 feet per second, it might stop it. It also might go right through it. It happens all the time because that armor is not actually designated to stop that projectile. So if you're thinking in common threat practice, level 3 is probably not where you should look. Now, I know somebody's going to argue, well, if I have level 3 and I have level 3A softbackers, does that make it level 4? No, it means you're wearing more stuff and the bullet still went through it. There is a place for soft backers, but it doesn't typically exist in the world that it adds more ballistic protection, but it eliminates some back face deformation and blunt force trauma, which enables things to be rated higher. Hence, something I'm going to cover in a second, which is ICW versus standalone. So then we look at level 3+. That is a kind of a buzz thing. It was all around. The big thing with level 3+ is it stopped 8.55 and 193 at like 3,300 feet per second. That is what's known as a special threat plate. Probably the most famous special threat plate out there is the HESCO L210. I know T-Rex Arms pushed them really hard for a long time. That plate was specifically designed. It was very thin. It was pretty lightweight, but it was specifically designed with the intention that it would stop 8.55 and M193, whereas level 3 would not, but we weren't getting the weight penalty of a level 4. That said, things like the L210, there's been some failures in NIJ testing. I cannot recommend that plate. I will say if you want good plates, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. HiCom armor. Go to HiCom. They have great plates. They're NIJ certified. They're good stuff. They're well made. It's a US company. They're awesome. They do what they're supposed to do, which is what you're asking armor to do. I don't need my armor to do anything other than what it says it's going to do. I don't care. As long as it does exactly what it said it's going to do. This is a place where, like, if it stops more, great, that's cool. But I'm buying with the anticipation that what it says it's going to do, the bare bones it says it will do. So that's your special threat plate, your 3+. And then we have level 4. Level 4 is rated to stop M2AP, which is 166 grain black tip tungsten armor penetrating round out of a 30-06 doing 2,880 feet per second. It will eat that round and you won't die. That's a pretty good standard to go for. If you're running if you're running a level 4 plate, that means it will also stop 855A1, M80A1, M80A1, or the M80A1 projectile loaded in 300 Win Mag. It'll stop 300 Win Mag. It'll stop pretty much anything common you're going to face. Somebody will ask the question, well, it will stop 338 Lapua Mag. What about 50 cal? If you get drilled with a 50 cal round, I don't care what plate you have on. It's going to turn your insides into mush, man. That's going to suck. You might not want to live through that. You might be so jacked up after taking that impact, you don't want to think about it. So when I say standalone versus ICW, now this is a place that you do not see ICW very much, which means in conjunction with. You do not see that very much outside of us buying surplus Sappy and Sappy plates. Now, Sappy stands for Small Arms Protective Insert. That is the hard armor plate that we wore over soft armor that gave us an increased capability against rifle rounds. Sappy is the enhanced Small Armor Protective Insert. It was a little lighter. It was multi-curve. Things changed a little bit. You won't see too much Sappy anymore, but you will still find Sappies. And I will tell you, if you can find Sappies, for a decent price, to buy them. They're great plates. Most of them are made by Ceradyne. If you are friends with a doc or a veterinarian, you can have them x-ray the plates and see if they're cracked. You can also do the torsion test to see if they crack or crinkle. You can thump on them with your finger. If they kind of ring, if they sound mushy, you can tell the difference between bad and good. Which Sappy is also a name for the cut. Armor's confusing, guys. So when you look at the cuts of plate, you're going to see a couple of basic ones. You'll see swimmer's cut, you'll see Sappy cut, and you'll see shooter cut. Shooter cut typically will have a small cutout down here at the lower part to enable your legs to go up higher. It'll also be cut at an angle here. I'll roll a picture in. It'll be cut at an angle here, which allows better movement with your arms, allowing you to get the rifle into the pocket of your shoulder. Swimmer plates are going to be cut much narrower right here. They're still going to provide that protection for your heart and upper thoracic cavity, but you're going to have much better freedom of movement with those on. Hence the swimmer plate, they let you swim. Although if you try to go swimming with level 4 plates, you're going to sink unless you're a really, really awesome swimmer or Aquaman. So how does this all work? So level 2, level 2A, and level 3A all function on the basis that the fabric you're using, which is a Kevlar, Dyneema, whatever, is going to take that projectile as it hits, and it's going to dissipate its forward momentum and energy over a huge area, which is the vest itself, mushrooming out that projectile and stopping its forward momentum. Energy has to go somewhere when it hits you. This crap where you see guys get hit in the chest with like this and they're wearing armor and they fly back 6 feet, that's total BS. 9 mils like maybe 400 foot-pounds of energy, and that's at the top end, but that is a solid, a really good solid punch. You're not going to fly across the room from getting hit from it. It's going to slow it down and actually cease its forward momentum. So then if we move to a common level 3 occurrence, we see what's known as the UHMWPE, or ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, which is essentially, this is a polyethylene cutting board. It's not the same thing. You can't stack those up. It doesn't work. So the way that polyethylene plates function is as a round hits it, rounds are hot, they hit and they cause instantaneous melting of the fabric, but the fabric cools almost instantly and it grabs that bullet as it's going through, arresting its forward momentum and keeping it from entering your body where you would die. That is how poly plates work, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. That is how those plates work. There is a really cool benefit to level 3 poly plates, and that is they are stupid light. like 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds. Most of the time they have positive buoyancy, so they actually float. But if you've got really awesome poly plates and you get capped with a dude running 855 out of a 20-inch barrel, it ain't stopping that dude. You're going to have a hole in you. So poly plates do work well. They're great for law enforcement, where, again, the most common thing you may face is a soft point hunting load that's probably not going to penetrate it, most likely a 308 or a 270, somewhere in there. You're not going to suffer some traumatic damage and crap like that, but it will stop those common rifle threats. It is not going to stop probably even M193. It's going too fast. It can't actually melt and re-grab that bullet fast enough to stop it from exiting the plate and into your body. So that is how, like, polyethylene plates work. And then we move on to a combo plate, or a ceramic, as we're commonly put it. Buy ceramic. Ceramic is cheaper, whatever. Ceramic's better than steel all day, every day. Don't buy steel. It's a target. Ceramic functions a totally different way. Now, ceramic, the reason I call them a combo plate is because it's not just the ceramic strike face. It's actually a Dyneema or something behind it. And what happens is as the bullet impacts that ceramic is an incredibly hard surface. It is much harder than the copper and lead inside of your projectile. It shatters that bullet on impact. But as it shatters that bullet and it penetrates through, it actually catches those fragments in that Dyneema backing. So it's functioning a lot like a flak jacket with the frag and the spall, but it's also functioning as a hard strike face to shatter it, kind of the same way steel does, but steel, again, is not a piece of armor. Steel is a target unless you are a tank. So that is how armor itself works. Now, there is trade-offs to all of this. Ceramic is the best option for hard plates for rifle-rated armor, but it is also incredibly heavy. There are some thoughts to the way armor works, and that is you can have inexpensive, you can have lightweight, and you can have protection, but you only get to pick two of these. If you want the protection and you want it lightweight, it is not going to be inexpensive. If you are willing and you find something that is less expensive, but it has good protection, it is going to be heavy. That is true to the form on anything armor related. You only get two of those: weight, expense, and protection. You need to pick which two are important to you and be prepared for the third option. If you find something that is cheap and lightweight, it has no protection, like almost guaranteed. That is just how this world works until something new changes. So the first thing we're going to look at when we go to get our plates is don't go out and buy your favorite plate carrier or buy a plate carrier you found, because that is how you end up with a 5'9" guy with an extra large plate carrier. That happens a lot because they didn't know this simple fact, which is measure yourself first for your plates. I've talked about this in normal times. Your xiphoid process, which is right here at the base of your rib cage in this area, right? That's where you press to do CPR. About right here to your jugular notch, nipple to nipple, that is going to give you your size. For the vast majority of people, something known as the medium Sappy or the 10x12 plate is primo. It works great. So when you go to select your plate carrier, you're going to buy it based off the size of plates that you intend to run. I know some people that are hell-bent that more protection is better, and you have a short guy wearing 11x14 plates. And what you have is a guy with decreased mobility. He's much slower, and he can't move around as well, and he doesn't have any agility because his plate stops his movement in all directions. Measure that stuff. It's not meant to cover your whole body. It's meant to cover your vital cavity. So some sizes you'll look at for plates. You can find a size small Sappy, which would give you roughly 8 3/4 by 11 3/4. So 9x12. That is not usually most people's stuff. It's a little harder to find. You don't even see as many carriers made for it. But what you do see commonly is medium. A medium Sappy plate is 9.5 by 12.5. It is very close to the standard you see of 10x12. In fact, the vast majority of plate carriers you see that say medium Sappy carrier will fit a 10x12 plate. My Velocity Systems rig is exactly that way. Then you have a large plate, which is 10 1/8 inches wide by 13 1/4 inches long. That is where you start running into problems because you have to have a size large carrier to fit that plate. And then you have extra large Sappies, which are 11x14. And then the common things you see outside of the Sappy rating size is 10x12 and 11x14. 10x12 has become so ubiquitous that people use it interchangeably with medium Sappy, which is the reason that most of your medium-sized plate carriers will in fact fit a 10 by 12 plate. Again, Velocity Systems, the Scarab LT, no different. Mine does that. I've run both different kinds of plates in it without a problem. So, like I said, find your plate size and then buy the carrier sized off of the plates. You don't buy it because you're a big dude or because you think you're fat, right? But find your plate size and buy the carrier based off your plate size. That's how this works. This is where you're going to figure out the quality matters. And this is something that's come to light recently. You've had a lot of companies that have failed NIJ protocol and they've been pulled off the NIJ site. That's why I recommend HiCom to anybody that will listen. They are easier on your wallet, but they are real good plates. But something you see, and we'll go with your less expensive options. Think Mira Safety, for example. You will see people that get all up in arms because they bought a level 4 Mira Safety 10 by 12 plate. Here is the problem. I guarantee you, if you take a straight pin and you go within an inch of the border, your straight pin will go through. That is because instead of a 10 by 12 plate, what you actually have is an 8 by 10 plate in the middle with a 1-inch foam border around that plate. Yes, it will protect it if you drop it on its side, but then again, don't throw your plates at things. But what that means is that out here on the edges of your protection area, you don't have any ballistic protection at all. Again, buy from a reputable manufacturer with an NIJ thing because that means you're going to get full strike face. Quality matters. Don't cheap out on shit that's meant to stop bullets from entering your body. That is a terrible decision. I ain't got no money, bro. Save your money. Well, I'll just, and this leads me to my favorite one, which is I bought steel because steel will take 100 rounds. No, no, no. Steel is for targets, not for armor, unless again you're a tank. What happens with steel armor is something I hear it referred to as spall. Spall is not the right term. Spall is when stuff hits and then it comes off the back because of the impact. What you're seeing is fragmentation. Because when you shoot steel, much like your steel targets at the range, that cut a hole in the freaking ground below the steel target, which should tell you why you don't need steel plates. If you get hit direct square with that, what's going to happen is it's going to take that bullet and that bullet's going to frag in all directions. Now, maybe your buildup coat survives it, good for you, but I don't care how much bed liner you have on that thing. It can't stop all of it from happening. And something that's super scary with steel plates are if you don't take a direct square shot and maybe you get hit as you're leaning back, there is nothing that says, because we hear this at the range, how many times have you fired around and heard, right? That is a ricochet. And what can happen with a steel plate, no matter how good your buildup coating is if you took that round leaning back here, that will now just skip up because bullets do weird stuff. Don't wear steel plates. Buy ceramic armor from a reputable manufacturer. For the price you're paying and the weight penalty you're carrying with a steel plate with enough buildup coating to stop a small Yugo, you could have just bought ceramic plates from someone like HiCom, Apex Armor Solutions, somebody, and not died. Because, dude, how bad would it suck in the apocalypse to be missing this part of your face because your steel plate decided, well, I didn't say I'd stop that. Or you catch an off-angle shot and it goes in. Steel is not a recommended source for armor. End of discussion. I'm not going to waver from that. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. Somebody needs to hurt your feelings then. Dude, that is a target. Don't wear targets for armor. Don't do it. I've had mine. That's great. No, it's not. You've never been shot in it. It doesn't work. Please don't. And again, I talked a little bit about this earlier, which is like, you're not going to get hit and fly back because the amount of energy you're taking, even if it is a 308, it's going to hurt, right? You might suffer broken ribs, cracked sternal cartilage. That's pretty common occurrence, bruising, but you're not going to get hit and fall off the building unless your balance is super terrible and your psychological stop, which means, oh my God, I got hit, and you freak out. So that is kind of what we're talking about for armor. So your basic levels of armor are, again, level 2A, level 2, level 3A, level 3, special threat, and level 4. If you are buying rifle plates, there is zero reason that I can come up with that you should be buying anything other than level 4, because level 4 stops everything below it too. No, you cannot take whatever infinite life shots out of a ceramic plate. You're going to have to replace it. And they have a shelf life. Though I'm going to tell you, the shelf life you see listed on stuff, which is good for 5 years, that is how long they will warranty it to stop what it's supposed to stop. However, at 5 years, having a combination plate, which is ceramic and Dyneema or something, in a hot car for 3 years, you can have delamination and stuff happens. So take care of your equipment. Don't leave it in places it shouldn't be. Don't submerge it in water if you don't have to. Wipe your stuff off every once in a while. Be an adult and actually take care of your equipment, and they'll service you long after the 5 years are over. Companies just can't warranty it. Again, if you're friends with a vet or a doctor, have them x-ray your plates and you can see if you have any cracks you didn't know about. Pro tip. And then we're going to ask something that goes against everything I just said, which is, do you even need armor? Do you? I mean, I'm legit. It's a question for you. Do you need armor? I will tell you, me personally, if I'm going to go into a situation where there is a greater than 50% chance that I'm going to end up getting shot at, I'm taking armor. But if I am going into a reconnaissance situation, I may not take it. Because here's a real hard fact that people need to understand about armor. Armor only works if the people you shoot are competent enough to hit you in the armor and nowhere else. But the trade-off for armor is incredibly heavy. It limits and impedes your ability to breathe effectively. It is going to make you more tired. Don't believe me. Ask anybody that was in the military that wore armor on a long basis on a hot day. It is going to make you slower. It is going to decrease your agility. All of these things are super vital. So if your job is going to be that of reconnaissance in like an LPOP or a listening post observation post, and the odds of you being in contact with anybody are almost non-existent, probably don't wear armor that day. Opt for a chest rig, increase your mobility. Because here's the thing, all day long, if you are slow and can take bullets versus a guy who is fast and agile and just can't get shot to begin with because he's fast and can move, the dude that's fast and agile probably has a much higher survivability rate. Armor is not everything. Armor is a necessary evil that should be a part of your system, but it should not be the be-all, end-all of your system. Your system should include the flexibility to allow you to not wear armor and still be effective. So guys, hopefully this answers some questions, helped you guys out. Again, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Until next time, I'll see you later.